Well, it's always a pleasure for you to join us on TV 47 News. Tonight, you're watching us from County 001 in our Mombasa studios. My name is Mariam Wacharo. You're watching the Home of Untold Stories. We have a lot lined up for you on tonight's bulletin. But first, let's take a look at some of those stories in the highlights.
Okay, we are fine. We are ready for exams.
Tonight, concerns over rising COVID-19 numbers.
Hii corona tuko nayo saizi naona ni kama iko tofauti na ile ya kwanza.
Will the president adjust the containment measures in his address Friday? Also tonight, another mysterious murder in Kahawa West. Man killed as he tries to calm a fight between two others who were fighting for a lady.
Abako alikuwa na mdunga akifuta hiyo damu.
The lady is said to have sucked blood from the man who died. And all set for the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education KCSE tomorrow as government warns those planning to cheat. And we begin with Form 4 candidates had their rehearsals today ahead of their KCSE theory examinations tomorrow. The Kenya Certificate of Secondary School examination will take approximately 1 month. The Education Cabinet Secretary, Professor George Magoha, had said that the government received information of some schools planning to cheat in the national examination.
Okay, we are fine. We are ready for exams.
In Isiolo County, over 1,400 candidates have registered to sit for the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Examinations from 32 centers. Today, education officials visited some schools to assess the level of preparedness of candidates ahead of the exams tomorrow.
I believe there will be no issues of integrity because all of us have been told exactly what is expected of us, and we hope that all the center managers and the supervisors and invigilators will actually observe high levels of professionalism.
Everything is in place. We are prepared psychologically and in terms of the logistics that are required. We've gone around the schools to check whether that is actually the case, and we are confident all will go well.
Isiolo County Commissioner assured candidates of their safety during the examination period.
Na tumeridhika kuona kwamba mipango yote imekamilika, so we are ready for tomorrow. Tunaomba Mungu tu atuongoze hawa watoto wetu, hata yote asipate na shida yote, ili wote waweze kufanya mitihani. Maafisa wetu wamejipanga vilivyo. Kila shule itakuwa na security ya kutosha.
On Wednesday, Education Cabinet Secretary reported that they had received information of how some examination centers were planning to cheat by using university students to write the exams on behalf of some candidates.
We are watching you. They think they are very advanced because they may even have interfered with the photographs. But it shall not happen under our guard.
752,981 candidates registered to sit for KCSE in 2020. Tomorrow they will begin the exams with the English subject.
Please work hard during the time of exam.
Sharon Baranga, TV 47.
Elsewhere, fresh details have emerged over the bizarre killing of a man following a fight between two other men over a woman on Wednesday at Sambaya Estate in Kahawa West. According to residents, the slain victim, only identified as Mutua, was a casual laborer who met his death while attempting to break up a fight in a love deal gone sour. Detectives in Kasarani are detaining the woman who's said to have stabbed the deceased with a sharp object before allegedly sucking his blood, while the two other men are in intensive care unit at the Kenyatta University Hospital after sustaining critical injuries. David Mudhoka reports.
Scenes at this open field in Sambaya Estate, Kahawa West, Kiambu County, tell of the Wednesday midday incident which has left residents in dismay. A pair of slippers belonging to a man who met his cruel end while anticipating to prevent another are now a reminder of events that led to the body of an elderly man lying at City Mortuary, two other men fighting for their lives at the Kenyatta University Hospital's ICU unit, and a woman behind bars. According to residents, a scuffle pitting two men yet to be identified over a woman known as Margaret Wanjiru Wangari quickly escalated into a fist fight, forcing a casual laborer whom residents had come to know as Mutua to intervene. Unknown to Mutua, one of the men and Wanjiru turned on him, with the latter drawing a piece of glass on the casual laborer before driving it deep into his ear. At the time, the other man lay wounded on the ground.
Msichana alipatikana akidugadunga mzee mmoja na kisu, na yule mwingine alikuwa amemdunga hapa tubo na kwa shingo.
Onlookers already shaken by the unraveling incidents will be puzzled further after Wanjiru allegedly began sucking blood from the lifeless body of a man she had just stabbed to death.
Hiyo ambayo ilikuwa kitu ya mchangao sana, yenye hatukuelewa ilikuwa inaendaje. Kama huyu msichana alikuwa anadunga akifuta ile damu yote, ama alikuwa maybe kuna mahali alikuwa anaiweka penye hatukuwa tunaona.
It took the intervention of police officers who are manning KCPE examinations at nearby schools to prevent the outraged residents from lynching the suspect and her alleged lover to death.
Huyo mzee alikuwa mzee mpole, mzee mwenye hakuwa hata na mambo, hata tulichangaa yenye aliuawa. Hata hiyo ni kitu ilituuma sana. Kama mtu umeishi na yeye hana mambo baya, si mtu wa kubishana, alafu unapata ameuawa kwa kifo cha unyama kama hicho.
The suspect is set to be arraigned in court over murder charges as detectives in Kasarani piece together the events leading to the gory murder.
It is at this point where an alleged love triangle gone sour led to the loss of life of a man who was simply trying to help. Residents are now worried that the rise in murder cases in Kahawa West is simply getting out of hand. David Mudhoka, TV47 at Kahawa West, Kiambu County.
President Uhuru Kenyatta is set to address the nation tomorrow amid a health crisis as the COVID-19 infections hit the roof. And with the rising numbers, sections of Kenyans have asked Kenyatta to consider a second lockdown to reduce the rate of infections, as Musa Sala now reports.
Kenya's COVID-19 infection rate has been on the rise since the third wave began a few weeks ago. The country recording a daily average death of 28 people, the highest recorded ever. President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to address the country on Friday with calls to review the anti-COVID-19 guidelines. However, some Kenyans have asked Kenyatta to consider locking down the country to reduce the infection rate, others warning that the move may cripple Kenya's already struggling economy.
Ikiwekwa lockdown itapungua kidogo. Kitambo watoto warudi shule itakuwa tayari imeshuka. Lakini ikizidi kuachwa hivi basi huenda tukaangamia zaidi. Unaona, wakati kulikuwa na lockdown, haikuwa iko juu sana. Lakini kwa hivi sasa hii corona tuko nayo saizi naona ni kama iko tofauti na ile ya kwanza. Hii ni moto sana kuliko ya kwanza. Kwa hivyo inahitaji lockdown.
So Uhuru akisema maneno ya lockdown hiyo itakuwa shida. Tutaibia wewe na wengine. Tutafanya kazi yenye haifai.
Watu wamekuwa too careless. Watu wakikuwa careful na wa take every precaution wanaambiwa kila kitu kitakuwa sawa.
In Kajiado County, village elders have begun a public sensitization program to encourage the locals to adopt and implement the Ministry of Health guidelines. The elders have also promised to work together with the police to enforce the anti-COVID-19 measures.
Tulikuwa tunazunguka leo tukisensitize watu kuhusu kujizuia kupata coronavirus. Tumeamua wale wenye watakuwa na kichwa ngumu tutashirikiana pamoja na polisi na machief ambao tunaweza chukua hatua, sababu hii haitaki mchezo. Inatakana kila moja akue anazingatia sheria.
The elders have also asked Kenyans to take the personal initiative to keep themselves and their loved ones safe.
Kweli corona na imerudi na mama yake. Sio ni watu tumesikia hata watu vile wanakufa wakubwa wamekufa. So sisi watu, kila mtu achukue jukumu lake yeye mwenyewe kujichunga. Mimi sitaweza kuja hapo kukuchunga kuambia kila saa jichunge na corona.
In Nyeri County, hoteliers and bar owners have faulted the Nyeri County government for introducing a new directive that requires all workers in eateries to be tested afresh for the virus to curb the new wave of COVID-19. However, the Pubs, Entertainment and Restaurants Association of Kenya, PERAC, has lauded the government's efforts in combating the virus, reaffirming its support for emergency response measures by the government.
And it has been tough, to say the least. It has been tough because you'd expect that a place like this will have, a lot of effect in terms of turnover. It's new, it's a place that people would enjoy in Nyeri or people coming from, and they still cannot come because in as much as I have tried to observe the protocols in terms of distance and all the other things that are required of me, it's still tough.
Several government offices have reduced their employees and services to reduce the spread of the virus. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has today announced its plans to suspend its services to foreign nationals effective 29th of this month. According to a statement to newsrooms, this will help reduce the infection rate in the ministry's immigration department. Musa Salah, TV 47.
Moving on, the Ministry of Health has announced the addition of people above 58 years old, the first phase of the COVID-19 vaccination exercise. In a statement to newsrooms, COVID-19 Vaccine Task Force Chairperson Dr. Willis Akwale says the group is being prioritized due to the serious threat facing them amid the third wave of COVID-19 pandemic.
Good news for people above the age of 58 years as the government announces their addition to the first phase of the COVID-19 vaccination exercise. In a statement to newsrooms, COVID-19 Vaccine Task Force Chairperson Dr. Willis Akwale says the group is being prioritized due to the serious threat facing them amid the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Ministry of Health says in phase 1, it's prioritizing frontline workers who include those in the health sector, teachers and staff working in institutions of learning, members of the disciplined forces, and persons aged 58 years and above. And following claims that some hospitals are taking hefty fees for ICU beds amid shortage, the Kenya Medical Practitioners Council has undertaken a survey that shows out of 5 major hospitals in Nairobi, only one hospital has 23 available ICU beds. This even as the country records a total of 1,463 new COVID-19 infections with 26 new deaths. The positivity rate is at 16.3%. Zainab Mohammed, TV47.
On other news, the political alliance bringing together ANC, Ford Kenya, KANU and Wiper has been rebranded to One Kenya Alliance. The coalition says it is ready to walk strong towards 2022. The coalition is accusing ODM of betrayal in the already messy NASA coalition, as Joash Onsare reports.
In what seems to be preparations for 2022 general elections, ANC, Wiper, Ford Kenya and KANU party leaders have launched One Kenya Alliance aimed at uniting Kenyans ahead of next year's general election.
Fellow Kenyans, this team coming together does not foreclose anything in terms of building a strong, super focused alliance, One Kenya Alliance.
The alliance has accused ODM party after the party ousted Senator Cleophas Malala as the deputy minority leader in the Senate.
This alliance strongly condemns the ousting of Senator Cleophas Malala of Kakamega as the deputy minority leader in the Senate by a section of members without any consultation, a matter that should have been properly canvassed.
ODM party through its Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, however, says that ODM is focused on alliances that add to the party and not the ones that take away from ODM. The Orange Party says it will form a fresh and vibrant coalition that will be inclusive after the referendum.
And this is not about tokenism. We must move away from politics of blackmail. What we are seeing in the event of Malala, or what we saw with Wetangula many months ago, was somebody trying to blackmail Kenyans.
The move comes at a time Jubilee and ODM parties have fielded candidates for Bonchari parliamentary by-election, an election that is expected to attract a tough competition between Jubilee and ODM. The new alliance coming following a fallout within the NASA coalition and is expected to campaign for Jubilee candidates in the by-elections slated for March 18th.
And for the avoidance of doubt, this alliance will not field the candidates in the Garissa senatorial contest following the demise of our brother and senior leader, Senator Yusuf Haji. This alliance will not field a candidate in Juja. We will support the Jubilee candidate as well. And this alliance will now not field candidates in Bonchari. We will campaign for Jubilee.
Joash Onsare, TV47, Nairobi.
Well, and that story brings us to a fast, short break, but do not go too far. We'll be back with so much more.
So if you come across any disease like yellowing of leaves, rust,
kama kuna mali kuna maji mingi utakuta inamea lakini haitoi ile garlic inafaa itoi, that standard garlic.
We did onion farming. Today we meet onion sister, Miss Garlic. Join us this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. as we talk more about garlic farming.
trucklimited.co.ke. You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Thank you for staying with TV47. This is the home of untold stories, and again, welcome back. Now, moving on, Parliament today held the second reading of the Law of Succession Amendment Bill, where a majority of the members supported the Peter Kaluma proposed amendment bill. The document seeks to lock out secret lovers from inheriting property after their lovers die. And just like the first reading, the discussion on the floor of the August was nothing short of entertaining.
The Law of Succession Amendment Bill has been received with massive enthusiasm in the August House, even in its second reading, with most of the members in support of the bill, only proposing a few amendments that they say need a proper definition, as could cause more trouble and complications in the future. Today, the clauses touching on property inheritance, where a list of dependents was issued, and the definition of a spouse, had the MPs seek in-depth definition of the two of dependents listed as beneficiaries of a deceased's wealth to be inherited, with the MPs citing that the list was too broad as many people were sowing where they did not reap.
Queens have slayed their way into family properties and reaped where they have not sown, Honorable Speaker, which is, Honorable Speaker, pathetic, Honorable Speaker, because there is no burial that have been postponed for our female colleagues, but for the male, it is a problem, Honorable Speaker, because of this issue of the slay queen.
Queen, who go after property when we also have slay kings? Can it be balanced so that we can say that we are defending the marriage institution both from slay queens and slay kings?
Apparently, it means when people want to prove that they were being maintained, I hear that they normally take photographs of maybe they were having a cup of tea together, sitting on a chair near each other. That means even a person who was a worker can claim to have been maintained and claim ownership and to claim that they should actually be maintained.
Either you are a wife or you are not.
All of our husbands and wives and our children, we need to introduce an amendment, Honorable Kaluma, that it is only in the absence of Part A, where the spouses and the children are, that your stepbrothers and stepsisters and your grandparents can inherit your estate.
Honorable Speaker, this is an open blanket to allow and create confusion and to interfere with the fundamental unit of the family, one which, Honorable Speaker, adults above 18 years get involved in with respect to what it is that it entails.
The debate Thursday morning did not fail to entertain. The MPs argued on basis of whether or not children bared out of wedlock should be included in the list of dependents.
The slave queens, some of them have made this one a business in which they will pretend that they are very hard to get, but only maintaining a certain season when, Honorable Speaker, they know that this is the season, Honorable Speaker. I don't want to go into very many details, Honorable Speaker, but you'll find that several people and several men are being claimed to be the fathers of one single child.
But where it has reached, and we have seen also many cases where very innocent women, they are cheated by irresponsible men who tell them that they would marry them. They give birth with them. It is also on this platform we want to tell our girl child and our women in this country, please, these men who are coming to tell you they love you and they keep you as mpango wa kando, they don't want to be noted by their wives or their families. Push them. Let them recognize you. And actually, where we are also suffering so much, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is because we have forgotten our traditions in this country.
It is shameful that you can stand in the honorable house of this caliber to say that men give birth carelessly all over the place, even with animals, without knowing
who their children are. We demand as women that wherever you give birth, you should keep it on record and take care of that child, because we are tired of these children we are calling fatherless when their fathers are well and kicking. It is high time that men take responsibility and do that which is right. Otherwise, all the women deserve to be respected.
The court was also mentioned as a big contributor to the birth of this bill, where the judiciary on several occasions blamed for delaying a burying of the dead, as families squared their differences and interests which dragged for years. Despite the massive support for the bill, just a few MPs opposed it, saying it did not fit the interest of their people. Ruth Mulandi, TV 47.
Well, definitely a very interesting discussion there in Parliament. But moving on, a farmer in Kerio Valley, Baringo County, is reaping big from his farm after reclaiming it from huge gullies. Simon Ruto says the fertile area has been destroyed for years.
The beautiful land of Kerio Valley is a true reflection of how fertile the land is. Simon Ruto from Kiboino village, who is among many farmers who have faced the wrath of unfriendly environmental activities in upstreams, is an example that despite soil erosion, the land can still be reclaimed and address food insecurity in arid regions.
I can see these are peasant farmers. They now depend on their animals, goats and sheep, which is not enough to sustain the families all the year round.
Ruto started reclaiming his over 500 acres of land, which had become gullies in 2014, by flattening them using graders to form a flat farm, which he used to plant maize, beans and onions.
As of now, we have beans, we have planted maize on 4 sections, and 2 sections with onions. We are planted with onions, which is almost ready by the end of this month. Expect about 2 sacks of beans, which is about 20,000. The green maize, we expect to sell about over 30,000 maize, which can bring us about, because we sell at 15 shillings per maize, for roasting. That one we can pay over 400,000.
He says it wasn't easy bringing back his land to where it is now, since he had to dig deep into his pockets to finance the reclamation of the land.
I had to request the Kenya government to give me a bulldozer on a hired basis, so that the drainage, the amount of soil which we are going to make in form of a check dam was somehow a bit higher, and this water could not just sweep the soil is downstream.
Ruto says that soil erosion has dealt a big blow to a region which can be food basket to the nation due to its fertile nature. Ruto has called upon the government to identify fertile areas that are facing unfriendly environmental activities and come up with solutions facing farmers in order to address food insecurity in the region.
Now let's cross the border to Tanzania, where the body of President John Pombe Magufuli has this morning been moved to his ancestral home in Chato for public viewing ahead of the burial on Friday. Chato, Geita and neighboring residents are today paying their last respects to the late president at the Magufuli Stadium to allow for public mourning. The ceremony was led by Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa and attended by the second Vice President of Zanzibar, Hamed Suleiman Abdullah, and Head of Defense Forces General Venance Mabea. Tens of thousands lined up as the hearse containing the coffin made way into the grounds, accompanied by military vehicles. Despite fears of widespread infections of COVID-19, several mourners still wore no masks. President Magufuli will be buried tomorrow at his Chato home, Geita, in northwestern Tanzania. He died on the March of 17th after a 10-year battle with heart complications.
kwa wale tu ambao hawakupata nafasi. Wale waliopata nafasi tusiende. Waheshimiwa mawaziri na manaibu mawaziri ambao hawakupata nafasi tunawakaribisha. Mawaziri na manaibu mawaziri ambao hawakupata nafasi ya kutoa heshima za mwisho kwa haraka haraka twendeni. Mawaziri, manaibu mawaziri, makatibu wakuu na manaibu makatibu wakuu ambao hamkupata nafasi ya kuaga.
Now it's now time to cross over to our studios in Nairobi, where Dennis Otieno awaits to give you what's happening in the world of sports. Dennis, as always, it's good to see you. Now tell us what has been up in sports.
Well, good to see you too, Mariam Wacharo. Now, tonight, we shall be telling you of the fair performance Harambee Stars have registered, but by the bad news that is for the national football team. We shall also be telling you about the results registered in the Savannah Classic Golf Tournament. Now, this and more coming up in just a bit. A very warm welcome to Primetime Sports. My name is Dennis Otieno, and on to the top story in sports. Kenya's hopes of a back-to-back appearance at the African Cup of Nations are over after a 1-1 draw by the men's national soccer team Harambee Stars against Egypt at the Kasrani Stadium. Stars, who lost Johnston Omurwa to a red card in the second half, suffered an early setback after Mohamed Magdi fired the Pharaohs in front just after 2 minutes. But Bandari's Abdallah Hassan was on target in the 65th minute to settle the scores. Now, with one match to go, Stars lie third on 4 points, 5 points off both Egypt and Comoros, who qualify from Group G.
خلي بالك خلي بالك خلي بالك خلي بالك من الخطير أولونجا. هو ده موجامبي، وادي الباص الامامي. خلي بالك خلي بالك. لا 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 اول اهدافه لمسه يد يا ولدي ولا ايه؟ لمسه يد يا ولدي. نعم لمسه يد الحكم المساعد، ولمسه يد على مسعود جمعه. يسجل اول الاهداف لصالح المنتخب الكيني. كان اصرار غير عادي وموقف متكرر.
Well, fairly performed by Harambee Stars. Too bad they couldn't progress in the competition. Now moving on, local football clubs on Thursday received lessons on how to achieve sustainability by properly managing their finances. The training, which was conducted by the Tisini Football Foundation in conjunction with club football authorities and key sports stakeholders in the country, aims at improving the state of football in the country.
At the foundation stage, as you can see, these are the two people that actually buying the player. Elaborating, you have a community football program. These support programs and the partnerships should be guided by the definitions of the clubs. At this stage, by the time you get to the stage of thinking about,
we are keen to extend our knowledge and our experience from an academic perspective towards enhancing the conversation around how do we make football a sustainable sport in Kenya.
But these are the kind of discussions, these are the